Hello, everyone. Welcome to the case study for the day, which is the ML or machine learning case study for wine quality prediction. So, wine, brings up, I think, various ideas to each listener. So, somebody who has not drunk wine or tried wine, it could just be passed off as a normal alcoholic beverage. But wine has, a lot of positive attributes, like it is rich in antioxidants. Obviously, if drink or consumed in moderation, it used to be consumed and probably more safer than water centuries ago, because the fermentation process which is used to make wine, it essentially gets rid of harmful microbes like salmonella and cholera. So let's dive in and see what's the agenda for the day. Obviously, we start with the problem statement. We would skip the EDA or exploratory data analysis because that's not in today's scope. We will look into a couple of ML models, right, and our evaluation of these models, how it performs, and then move on to the conclusion and the next steps. Obviously, why are we talking about wines? Because wine industry is slated to touch almost $500 billion in another couple of years, and to even somebody who has tried wine or not tried wine, you might know that the range or the typical cost of a wine ranges from a couple of dollars, right, $1 or $2, to all the way to $10,000, and there are even far more expensive wines as well. And it's very confusing sometimes to pick the right wine: white wine, red wine, Shiraz or sherry or Cabernet, and so on, right? Also, based on the various regions, the wine again have different taste and different kind of the fluidity and density and so on. So the normally wine ratings, right, quality ratings are the sort of prerogative of select set of people known as wine tasters, right? And it requires a lot of expertise to actually measure and do these ratings. So the thought is, given that wine has around 11 main attributes, like the alcohol content or residual sugar, the acidity or other chemical compounds, like sulfur, chlorides, and then the other derivatives, can we predict, using these data points, can we predict the quality of wines, right? So, and this could be used in the retail industry as a restaurateur or hotelier, or it could be also used by a winemaker, right, in a vineyard, or even the awareness of this could also be used by a common Joe who wants to probably pick the right wine. So as I mentioned, the two models for today's discussion are linear and logistic regression model. And irrespective of the kind of regression model we would use, this is sort of the flow that we have for the day, right? We reading the data. Again, the initial data ingestion and pre and post processing steps that are there, that is covered in the EDA. And after the EDA, this essentially comes in after the EDA, right? So for ML specifically, we do a couple of data preparatory steps like normalization, multiple transformations, and features and validation, etc. And then you pick a model, right, and tune multiple parameters, and then come up with few models that could work. And then with exhaustive testing mechanisms, you figure out which model probably works the best in a specific use case, and then deploy that models, right? Now, another key parameter that sort of plays into this is the training to test ratio, right? And how do we train and test all these various vectors that are out there? And again, the multiple parameters that goes into the regression model itself changes. The weights vary, the penalties may vary, the algorithms may vary, the iterators may vary. But all this need to be rightly tuned optimally to get the right output. Coming to the linear regression, linear regression assumes that the independent variables or the inputs, in this case it's chemical parameters, have a linear relation with the output variable, right? Obviously, there are few things which are common between common assumptions between linear and logistic regression, which is no multicollinearity, which means that no two independent variables have a linear relationship, right? Or no autocorrelation or homoscedasticity, essentially meaning that errors, right, should not vary drastically, right, along the regression line, for instance, and so on. Now, the summary of multiple linear regression iterations, and I'll tell you why we are sort of, talking very succinctly about linear regression in a little bit. But we did try with a couple of these feature options, which is the standardized data, no extra features. And then we also tried with adding a certain feature called wine taster category and see how did the errors vary, right? And then we again added another feature called country. Italy, France, Spain, US are the premier or the larger winemaking countries in the world. So, and we have analyzed two error parameters, which is the RM, root mean square error, and also the adjusted R square or the coefficient of determination. And we obviously find that with the addition of some of these parameters, the overall error has come down. But the bigger question that we need to ask ourselves is linear regression a good fit, right, for this specific use case, which unfortunately isn't working out. And the primary reason, right, and the reason why we could not deploy it is because the relationship between the independent variables, which is all the chemical parameters, to the wine quality rating, it doesn't seem to be linear, right, which is one of the primary assumptions of linear regression. And although we came up with a specific plane, right, for Y equation, which shows to some extent the quantum of relationship between the input variables and the output. You see that as highlighted in the red, an average wine could be predicted as a poor wine or a premium wine, right, with this kind of variation that we see with the model. So obviously the next option is to look at a binomial logistic regression. And obviously the idea is to classify the wine as good or bad, right? As you see from the S curve that you see in the bottom of the slide, the wines are predicted as good or bad. There is a cutoff threshold, right? And beyond which we classify wine as good wine or bad wine. And unlike the linear regression, the log of odds, right, or log of the ratio of success to failure is essentially expected to have a linear relationship with the independent variables, right? And some of the chemical attributes that we discussed earlier, right? When you look at it from the odds standpoint, we see that the increase in free sulfur dioxide increases the quality, right, by a factor of 1.4, while the increase in total sulfur dioxide, obviously there will be a reduction in the wine quality, right? So these are the constraints or thoughts that we need to understand, right, going into the logistic regression. And some of the assumptions that you see, right, essentially means that, again, we are using the logistic regression or for a classification purpose, right, and that too binary classification, assuming that you have binary relationship with the output variable, right? 0 means that the wine is bad, and 1 means that wine is good, right? Typically, the logistic regression is applied for large sample spaces. No multiple collinearity is a subject we brushed upon during the linear regression itself. Now, one of the evaluation metrics that we use is confusion matrix, which computes the true positives, false negatives, true negatives, and false positives, right? So these are some things that is of interest to us as a from a data science perspective, right? And from our analysis, we find that logistic regression seems to be doing a reasonable job at around 75% accuracy, right, on the prediction. And we also look at some of the other parameters, like precision and recall, right? Precision is nothing but the ratio of true positives to the sum of true positives and false positives, right? And recall is nothing but your true positives to the overall positive data set, right? So, and harmonic mean of precision and recall, it is captured as a separate variable called FN score, which is a key metric, by the way, to analyze the overall data, right? So our accuracy seems to be fairly good to consider this, right? We also see that the ROC curve, right, which essentially is a plot between the true positive rate and the false positive rate, right? So that we see that it is actually fairly high at around 0.81, right, for this specific use case. And we see also that with a small jump in the false positive rate, right, we see a very high jump in the true positive rate. Like, this is how a good model should be, right? And we see that happening here. Now, if you look at, again, one of the other assumptions, we also need to ensure as we go through the ML model building process that the no multicollinearity, which is a precondition for logistic regression, is qualified, right? So this is one of the qualifiers that we use. It's called VIF, or the variance inflation factor, which, if in excess of 10, it means that you probably need to drop that specific parameter because of large multicollinearity. So we did some of the trials and experiments, and we found out that obviously standardization improves the FN score, precision, and recall. But then even after dropping the density variable, which was showing multicollinearity, the overall model performance remains intact. We also compared this with another algorithm, which is called SVM, right? And we found that the accuracy and FN score improved by a notch. Now, compared to the overall logistic regression, the KNN, which is yet another machine learning model, was found to be slightly less effective, right? Because the area under the curve was 1 percentage point lower. So, it's quite possible that we could crank up the efficiency, right, of the model with perhaps another classifier. But we did not stop here. We went beyond this and did a multi-class logistic regression, right? And what we found was quite interesting. We found the accuracy now jumping up to around 0.8. FN scores for average wines jumping up to around 88%. And overall model now looking a lot more better. But what needs to be understood here is that while all this is fine, the data set has very little of poor and premium wines, which is reflecting in lesser, or I would say less accurate predictions of these kind of class types. But in general, we see a good accuracy overall. So maybe we need to look at a more inclusive data set, right? We also tried pushing the limit and increase the class types to 7, ranging from the wine quality of 3 to 9. And in this case, we saw the accuracy drops to around 54%, which is actually fairly poor. So that definitely needs to be improved further, right? So as a conclusion, right, we see that the overall accuracy improves with the class types increasing from 2 to 3. But then I think from 3 to 7, we see there is a fairly big dip in the accuracy. So we also dabbled upon a few other ML algorithms like SVM and KNN. And we found SVM to be slightly better than logistic model versus KNN, which was performing slightly inferior. So we could dabble upon other kinds of algorithms, right? And experiment to see if we can get a better quality of results. So thanks for tuning in. please shoot me any questions, if you have one. Thank you. Bye.